Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome this evening's guest moderator, Allison Bales from More Magazine, and tonight's guests, Rashida Jones, Will McCormack, and Lee Toland Krieger.
Thank you. I'm Allison. This is Will, Rashida, and Lee,
Howdy.
director of the film, which is excellent, by the way. You should all go see it Friday. Really wonderful.
Go see it.
Thanks.
Please.
So congratulations. Congratulations, first of all, you two, on such a fantastic script, because obviously it all starts there. Tell me, watching the trailer, personal stuff, did you write from experience? How much of your lives is on the screen in this film?
A lot of it. I mean, I think I feel like you'd have to be a genius to write total fiction that you don't connect with and isn't from personal experience. I've never been able to do that, but we stole a lot from our own lives and from our friends' lives, with permission, I think. And we just kind of wanted to tell a story about a broken heart and what it feels like to really break up with someone and how long that takes, and to love someone and feel like you have to let them go but not want to let them go. Yeah.
There's some scenes in the film that are painfully funny, especially when you start dating again after your separation from Andy Samberg. And I just, did those things really happen? Those cringeworthy
there's
dates?
some gnarly dates. You guys haven't seen it yet, but just remember when I tell you that those things actually happened to me, you're going to feel sad for me.
That's pretty sad. Although, for one particular guy, it's pretty embarrassing wherever he is out there.
Yeah, it is. You should know who you are.
Rashida, you have so much success, small screen and big screen right now, but did you feel that you had to kind of take your career into your own hands and write your own projects? Is that important as a woman? Or is it irrelevant that you're a woman, you just need to write your own projects?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, there's something relevance happening right now, I think, with women and film and TV, and it's great. And, you know, people talk about it as this trend where women are able to be messy and more dynamic, and that's great. But women have always been messy and dynamic and interesting, and they'll just continue to be so. I'm happy people are taking notice. I hope it's not a trend. I hope it's just a reality that's been opened up. But it really came from a place of wanting to write with Will, who is my best friend, and we've talked about it for a long time. And even though we knew we were writing the part for me, I think the most important thing was telling a story, and maybe telling it in a fresh and hopefully honest way with some laughs along the way.
It's a very honest film. When you see this film, I think you'll realize that it comes from a place of honesty and I think maturity, because it's got some sort of raunchy, dirty stuff in it, but it's not, I don't know, it's very different than those sort of raunchy films that we're seeing a lot of these days. It just has this maturity to it. That obviously the people who wrote this film have been through relationships and know what they're talking about.
Thanks. So many relationships.
So many.
Glad we wrote a movie about it.
Single, still
Yeah,
single.
Single.
Both of us.
So lonely.
Oh.
So much pain.
There you go, you have
ends.
material for your next film.
Yeah.
Pain, right? That's where art comes from. Now, Will, Andy's character is this man-child character that we're seeing in so many films these days, sort of typified by Seth Rogen, Adam Sandler.
Jason Segel.
Right. Why do you think we're seeing this character? You wrote him. Where does he come from?
I knew a lot of very dynamic, successful, ambitious women who dated underachieving men. And I don't know what that is. And Rashida, you have a good sort of explanation of that. We feel like men are lagging behind.
Well, I think that the way it's evolved is just that women have been told they can do all these things, and it's really great. And I think kind of as a reaction to that, there's this new kind of guy who is feeling somewhat empowered by, chilling at home, playing video games, dating younger women, not committing, dressing with ironic T-shirts like a teenager, and I feel like it is a means of empowerment. I'm not sure it's that helpful to all the women in the world, but I also feel like it's kind of women's responsibility too. Like we have to find some sort of balance. Like it's cool to be sensitive. It's cool to be a guy who is into dreaming all day. And I think underachieving sounds like a little bit of a dirty word, and I think it's okay. I mean, women were housewives for years, and there was no judgment about just raising a child. I mean, that's a really tough job. So I'm giving men permission to do whatever they want to do. Just like step up in the relationship sector a little bit. Just like commit to women
You
your
heard it
age.
here first from Rashida Jones.
Commit
Step
to
it up.
smart, independent women. It's okay. You can do it.
In the movie, Rashida's character is a trend forecaster. She's very successful. She runs her own company. And Andy Samberg's character is a failing artist. Is that
Burgeoning?
Aspiring.
burgeoning,
Inspiring.
Yeah.
trying to be, but kind of unmotivated, I guess. I think it's really this reliance when you get into a relationship. You sort of rely on the other person maybe too much, and he's dependent on you just a bit too much to kind of carry him through. Lee, when this script came across your desk, did you say, I have to direct this? This is my next film?
Yeah, it was pretty instant. I mean, it was, I got it late one night, planned on reading it the next morning, and it had heard how great it was because it had been a script that had been around, had been on the blacklist, which is this sort of list of great unproduced scripts. And I opened the first page and it's like, I'm going to just see if these actors can write, and fell in love with the first page and whipped through the script that night and called Jennifer Todd, the producer on the film, one of the producers, and said, what do I have to do to be a part of this? And she didn't say, I'm sending you this script to see if you want to direct it. She just said, I'm sending you a script.
Really?
Yeah. So she was pretty cagey. And as I was like, well, this is just my luck. I've finally fallen in love with something. And she's going to say, no, we were looking for good PAs and we'd love for you to come down and help us out. Fortunately, Will and Rashida and Jen gave me the opportunity to meet on it and sort of explain my take on it. And we all, I think, just connected right away and had sort of the same touchstones for, the movies we saw this as. And off we went.
We had seen The Vicious Kind, Lee's first movie, and just absolutely loved it. And it's very different in tone. I mean, it's a dark, drama about family and heartache. But it was so beautiful, and it was so delicately discovered, the emotional side of it. And it was kind of not even a question. I mean,
Thanks.
It was kind of love at first sight with us.
So let's talk about some of the other actors in the film. Besides the two of you, we have Emma Roberts, we have Chris Messina, Elijah Wood,
Ari Grainer,
who is in the scene. She plays the best friend. We all know couples. I just love your couple, like annoying couples who say we. Oh, we love that film. Like they have one brain. You captured it really well. But you've worked with some of these actors. You've worked with Elijah Wood. Tell us about the casting of the other roles. Were you involved? Was it your call? Who picked them?
It was all three of us for sure. I mean, on every part. And luckily for me, Will and Rashida are like these sort of unofficial mayors of Hollywood and know everyone, which made things easy. We had great casting directors. We're going to acknowledge them, Barbara McCarthy and Angela Demo, who we forgot to thank at Sundance, and we're still paying dearly. Yeah. No, but we, with their guidance and a few of the actors that I knew and these guys knew everyone. Fortunately, we just had a great piece of material, and everyone loves Will and Rashida and Andy, and it was shooting in LA, and people said, sure, we'll come out and do a few days of work and make no money and eat bad food. But we had a great piece of material, and so people were eager to come out. It was very cool to see.
After your separation in the movie, you start dating or, kind of trying to be more open to dating, I guess. So Chris Messina is a potential suitor. Maybe we could look at the clip with Chris Messina. You're a meanie.
It doesn't seem like there's a lot of potential there.
You wrote this character for yourself. You wrote to play this. She's not entirely unsympathetic, but in a scene like that, you think, well, no wonder she's, not happy and married. I mean, she's kind of demanding and know-it-all-y.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yes, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of things about her that are not for everyone, and they're magnifications of qualities about myself that Will very, very nicely observed and made larger than life for this character. But it gave us somewhere to go. It's more interesting to watch somebody learn a lesson if they don't know something about themselves. And she's got a blind spot. She knows she's right. She knows she can thin slice somebody and be right about it. She can judge somebody on the spot and be right, but ultimately, it might make her unlikable or not happy.
She really thinks that she's always right. When you were writing, was that tough? I mean, if you had to say to Rashida, no, you're wrong.
Wait, she meaning Celeste, not Rashida. Let's just be clear.
Didn't he just say that he brought certain things about your personality?
Yes.
All right.
No. I mean, I think that it's like being in a relationship. Usually, like, the idea avails itself. Like, you never push too hard, because ultimately, whether she's right or I'm wrong, or I'm right and she's wrong, usually the idea will be right, and we're usually both wrong, and the idea is right like a week later. But it sort of takes time to get there, don't you think?
Yeah, and we collaborated pretty well because this was our first screenplay that we had ever finished, and our first screenplay we wrote together.
Yeah.
I think we were very gentle with each other in that process of sharing ideas. It can be a raw experience to share a creative idea.
Also, having acted for so long, it's sort of in our DNA to collaborate. I don't know what it's like not to collaborate.
And you're still friends, clearly,
Yeah.
so that's all good. We're going to take some questions right down here at the front.
This question is for Rashida. For The Muppets and I Love You Man, what was your experience like, and what were Jason Segel, Thomas Lennon, Amy Adams, and Paul Rudd like from your point of view?
Jason Segel is a wonderful person and a wonderful actor. I didn't work with Thomas Lennon, but I love him, and he's hilarious. Amy Adams is a dream. She's a professional, and she's so talented and so nice. And Kermit is awesome. All the Muppets are... Oh, Paul Rudd. How did I forget about Paul? Was Paul... No, well, Paul Rudd is in I Love You Man. Got it. Thank you. He's the greatest. We've worked together 5 times now, and I would work with him 25 more times. I could talk about Kermit if I want. Thank you. Kermit's great. He's a great dude.
Hello, Rashida. I grew up a fan of both your parents, and now I'm becoming a fan of yours. What influence did they have in your acting and writing career? Thank you.
My parents are very supportive. They're very unconditional, very non-judgmental. They would have supported me regardless of what I decided to do. I think it's nice for them that we have this thing we can talk about that we all kind of do. We create things. But my dad would always just tell me to follow my heart and do what I love, and then work really hard and just keep learning and never think that you know anything, because he still feels like that about music, and he's been a musician for over 60 years, and he still finds new things every day, and I think that's what keeps him young, is his just humble attitude and his curiosity.
While you guys will come up with more questions, we're going to watch one more clip from the movie, which is Rashida's character with Emma Roberts. Lee, you obviously had a great script. You loved the script, but how much did you bring to it? Did you let the actors improvise? Did you let them veer from the
I'm
print?
a real taskmaster. I run a real tight ship. No, look, I mean, I had the good fortune of working with not only brilliant actors, but really, really genuinely funny people. And Rashida and Andy being the obvious ones, but as you can see there, Emma, I think, is hysterically funny. Elijah's funny. Will McCormack is brilliant and funny. And, the reality was we were making a movie in 23 days, so there just wasn't a ton of time. It wasn't the sort of Judd Apatow experience of sort of just let's let it ride and we'll find a whole new scene. It was let's make sure we get what's on the page, because we loved what was on the page and we trusted what was on the page. And if we had time to sort of loosen the screws, or we thought we could bring a little bit more levity to it or something different, oftentimes Andy and Rashida and Emma and Will would throw out ideas, and we were able to improv, but not maybe as much as you would think with a traditional comedy or a broader comedy. I think probably has more. We had a really great piece of material when we wanted to service that, if that makes sense.
That particular scene, actually, Emma just added 2 words to her line and made it 7,000 times funnier. Where it was scripted, "You're pretty," and she just added, "Kind of, wow, you're kind of pretty," which just
Funnier.
says so funnier and so much more descriptive about that character, who's kind of like this precocious pop star, who kind of like, thinks she owns the world, and we butt heads.
Do we have more questions?
Hi, this question's for Rashida. I was just wondering, how did you react on the Parks and Rec set when they brought up the storyline of you and Tom getting together?
Aziz is hilarious, and I love him, and he's my friend. And basically the writers pitched it to me and to both of us as this idea that we're in this small town, and in small towns everybody dates each other, and that's true. LA is kind of a small town, and everybody's dated each other, and it makes sense. I mean, I think they really looked to that relationship for the comic value of how different they were, and that kind of like, she's annoyed, but then she misses him, but she's annoyed. But I'm game, and the writing's so good, and it's so funny, and it also birthed the scene where he was in shock that I didn't know who Genuine was, which is my favorite. It was so hilarious. By the way, it was really hard. It was really good acting on my part to pretend like I didn't know who Genuine was, because trust me, I know. It was hard.
Do we have some more questions?
My question is for Will and Rashida, and it has to do more of the writing process. So it took about 23 days for you guys to shoot. How long did it take for you guys to actually finalize that script and get everything together?
35 years.
It felt like a decade, but the movie we wrote pretty quickly. We wrote it, we finished the first draft in 4 months and then sold it at 6 to a...
In 2009.
In 2008.
Oh, 2008.
Yeah, we sold it to Fox Atomic, which is like a mini major studio. We sold to them, and then they went out of business. And then we got the script back, and then we sold it again, although you don't get paid again. You don't get paid that much the first time. But we sold it again, meaning Overture bought it, and they went out of business. So our script shut down 2 studios. Then it was set up 5, 6 times in different scenarios, incarnations, and then finally we were like, let's just do this with however much money we can get. And we were at this place, which is also now out of business, I just read.
Yeah.
And they were going to give us about $2 million to make the movie. They said
2.5.
2.5. And it felt shady, and we were in the parking lot. We were like, this feels wrong, all of it. And we just said, I think it was kind of your idea.
I'll take credit if it's a good one. Yeah.
You were like,
Okay.
let's make it for
Like down and dirty,
$50, whatever
run and
we can
gun
get,
it.
but we'll have
Let's do
total
it.
creative control. So we did, and we found this great company, or they found us kind of, Envision Media Arts, and we ended up making the film, I can say, right? Yeah, I mean, for under, under $1 million, well under $1 million, under 900,000. So it took 4 to 6 months to write the first draft, and then the second draft, and then actually kind of 4 years to get made.
And yeah, we did a few tweaks before we filmed, because we had to condense locations and whatever, but we didn't change it that much from 2009.
Not too much.
There
We
were
had to
some cultural
update.
references
Yeah,
that were
it
a
was
little
outdated.
stale. They might still be a little stale,
Yeah.
but we did our best.
Yeah.
We have time for one more question.
Rashida, I first saw you in Nylon, which was more of a serious role, and then obviously in Parks and Rec it's comedic. Do you feel like one style comes easier to you, serious or comedy?
I mean, I feel like people are like, comedy is really hard, and I work with the best comedians in the world. It's really fun. I'm not gonna lie. It's way more fun. It's hard to be sitting in your, uncomfortable emotions all the time, and your body doesn't know you're acting, your brain and your heart don't know you're acting, so you just shake that off every day. So for me as a human being, I love doing comedy because I get to laugh with like funny people all day long. There's nothing wrong with that. I have a lot of respect for dramatic acting, and especially because I've never carried a film before, and Nylon was my first lead role. That was really tough for me, but this is my first lead role in a film. it's definitely a different experience. I mean, I loved it, but I basically cried for 23 days straight. I was cool with it. It was fine. It was contained. I was safe with my friends, but I think I'm gonna go with comedy. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much to Lee, Rashida, and Will. The film opens Friday.
Thanks. Thank you
Don't
so
miss it.
much.
Thank
It's
you
so
so
cool
much.
to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.